The Biden administration's plans for sanctioning Russia if it invades Ukraine again are taking shape. U.S. institutions would be prohibited from dealing with major Russian banks and state companies, according to media reports. The Biden administration is also considering banning trading in Russia's government debt and blocking the export of key items like microelectronics. President Biden has promised severe economic consequences for Russia and President Vladimir Putin personally in the case of an invasion. Now, for more on this, I'm joined now by our financial correspondent, Jens Korte, in New York. So, Jens, we're hearing reports from Bloomberg that Wall Street banks have been briefed on these potential sanctions. What would it mean for Wall Street if the U.S. does come forward with these penalties?
Chelsea, there is talk that we're talking here about the toughest sanctions against Russia in decades. And in general, disruptions in the global financial markets are never really good news for Wall Street or U.S. Financial institutions. I mean, one big question clearly is, will it even be necessary to start those sanctions? Wall Street seems to be a bit hesitant. So far, at least, the whole conflict has not really shown in the stock prices, at least in the U.S. markets. And then if you look at the ties between Wall Street, Russian banks, Russian companies, those ties are not that great. So I'm not really certain, even if we see those sanctions, if that will be a big blow to Wall Street and U.S. financial institutions.
Well, Jens, this is not the first time the U.S. would have imposed sanctions on Russia. There seems to be a mixed history here of the effectiveness. If this does come to pass, what will the impact be? Will they be effective?
Well, I mean, there probably would be at least a short-term impact, and then we would need to see how the Russian institutions and governments can actually adjust to those sanctions. But you've already hinted at it. President Barack Obama, while Joe Biden was vice president in 2014, actually already started sanctions against Russia, not as steep as the sanctions we're talking about right now, but pretty similar sanctions, and those did actually not do the trick. Also, if you look to conflicts the U.S. had, for example, with North Korea or Iran, also those sanctions did not really quite work. Yeah, that is really one of the big questions if it really would change so much. If history gives us a lesson, actually, those sanctions have not really worked that greatly.
Jens Korte in New York, thanks so much.